How does a company that owns the world's most famous legends find itself literally moments away from extinction? Before the billion-dollar opening weekends and the global adoration, Marvel was a corporate corpse on an operating table. In the mid-1990s, the comic book industry didn't just stumble, it collapsed. Marvel's stock price plummeted from $35 to a measly $2 in record time. By 1996, they were filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. They were $700 million in debt, and the vultures were circling. The world's greatest storytellers had run out of their own stories, and more importantly, they had run out of cash. This wasn't about saving the universe anymore. It was about paying the electricity bill to keep the lights on in a dusty New York office. The house of ideas was officially broken, and the movie rights to their biggest stars, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four, were being sold off like furniture at a garage sale just to survive. Success wasn't even a dream. At this point, survival was the only goal.
Enter Avi Arad and Isaac Perlmutter, the owners of Toy Biz. These weren't your typical silver spoon executives. They were gritty, street-smart businessmen who saw Marvel not as a failing publisher, but as a sleeping mountain of intellectual property. After a brutal legal battle against billionaire corporate raiders, Arad and Perlmutter took control of the wreckage. Their philosophy was simple: if we can't sell comics, we'll sell toys. But to sell toys, we need the world to see these characters on the big screen. The problem? Hollywood didn't believe in superheroes. After the disastrous Batman and Robin in 1997, the industry thought the genre was dead. Marvel was forced to take a back seat, licensing their characters to Sony and Fox for crumbs. They watched from the sidelines as X-Men and Spider-Man made hundreds of millions for other people, while Marvel only saw a tiny fraction of the profit. It was a humiliating way to stay alive, but it provided the one thing they desperately needed: proof. Proof that the world still wanted heroes. Now, they just needed to figure out how to do it themselves, without losing everything in the process. By 2005, Marvel was tired of getting leftovers. They wanted the whole meal. They made a decision that would either make them the kings of Hollywood or leave them permanently homeless. They took out a $525 million loan from Merrill Lynch. But here was the catch. The collateral for that loan was the film rights to their remaining characters. If their next movies failed, Marvel would lose the rights to the Avengers, Captain America, and Nick Fury forever. They were literally betting the company on a C-list character that the general public barely knew: Iron Man. At the time, Tony Stark wasn't a household name. He was the guy in the tin suit. To make matters even riskier, they hired Kevin Feige, a young producer with a radical idea, and Robert Downey Jr., an actor whose career was considered a massive liability by every major studio. This wasn't just a movie production. It was a high-wire act over a pit of fire. If Iron Man didn't fly, Marvel was finished. For good. No second chances, no sequels, just a for sale sign on the front door.
May 2nd, 2008. The day the world changed. When Robert Downey Jr. first stepped onto the screen as Tony Stark, the chemistry was undeniable. He wasn't a perfect hero. He was a flawed, sarcastic, brilliant human being. The audience didn't just like him, they identified with him. Iron Man exploded at the box office, earning over $580 million. But it wasn't just the money. It was the final 30 seconds of the film that truly shifted the tectonic plates of the industry. When Samuel L. Jackson appeared as Nick Fury and mentioned the Avengers Initiative, a shockwave went through the theater. For the first time, movies weren't just sequels, they were chapters in a much larger story. Kevin Feige had successfully imported the shared universe concept from the comic books to the cinema. It was a revolution hidden in a post-credit scene. Marvel wasn't just making a movie, they were building an ecosystem. The loan was safe, the characters were home, and the world was watching. But the biggest challenge was still to come: making people care about a man with a shield and a god with a hammer. Success brings suitors, and in 2009, the biggest suitor of all came knocking: Disney. Bob Iger saw the potential that Marvel had unlocked and bought the company for $4 billion. Many fans were terrified. Would Disney sanitize the stories? Would they lose the edge that made Iron Man a hit? Instead, the influx of Disney's massive resources and global distribution network acted like rocket fuel. Marvel began an unprecedented run of hits. Thor brought the cosmic, Captain America brought the heart, and the Avengers in 2012 proved that the ensemble experiment worked. That one film earned $1.5 billion, becoming the third highest-grossing movie of all time. Marvel had officially transitioned from a bankrupt comic book publisher to a cultural juggernaut. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, became the gold standard of franchise building. Every other studio in Hollywood scrambled to copy the formula, but they all lacked the decade of careful character development and the singular vision of the Marvel team. They had turned a desperate gamble into a $4 billion goldmine. The true miracle of Marvel's redemption wasn't just the money, it was the cultural shift. They took Black Panther and turned it into a global symbol of representation and excellence. They took Guardians of the Galaxy, a group of misfits, including a talking raccoon, and made them more popular than most traditional action stars. Everything was leading to one point: Thanos. The Infinity Saga was a 10-year narrative marathon that culminated in Avengers Endgame. When that movie released in 2019, it shattered every record in the book, earning nearly $2.8 billion. It was a cinematic event that felt like the moon landing of pop culture. People weren't just watching a movie, they were witnessing the conclusion of a decade-long relationship with these characters. Marvel had achieved the impossible. They had navigated bankruptcy, corporate warfare, and creative skepticism to create a modern mythology that resonated in every corner of the planet. From a company that couldn't pay its rent to the curators of the world's most successful franchise, the journey was complete. So, what is the lesson of the Marvel story? It's not about capes or special effects. It's about the power of ownership and the courage to believe in your own assets when no one else will. Marvel's redemption proves that even when you are at your absolute lowest point, your intellectual value remains if you are brave enough to bet on it. They stayed true to the characters that fans loved for decades, while being fearless enough to reinvent them for a new generation. Today, the MCU faces new challenges, from franchise fatigue to a complex multiverse, but the foundation built from 1996 to today is unshakable. Marvel didn't just survive bankruptcy, they redefined the way the world consumes stories. They proved that with the right leadership, a clear vision, and a little bit of Stark-level confidence, even a dying company can become a god among mortals in the world of entertainment. The House of Ideas is no longer just a publisher, it is the architect of our modern imagination, and that is perhaps the greatest superhero story ever told. I hope this deep dive gave you a new perspective on the strategies and the relentless mindset behind these global icons. If you enjoy deconstructing business empires and tech legends in this tech archive style, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. That way, you will never miss a new blueprint of history. For those of you ready to explore more boardroom coups and technological breakthroughs, I have handpicked 2 videos for you right here on the screen. Click one to keep watching. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.